Good evening, everyone. We are back in our study in the book of Proverbs. We may be treading a little slower than we normally would, but very much because we need to actually expand some of the text so that we can better understand the Hebrew underlying the text as well. Now, we left off last week in verse 7. Verse 7 is important. I want to point out to you the word fools here. The word fools here is used twice, but both times have a different meaning. In this particular case, the word fools is evil. Just to take note, I just want to point out to you that where we left off last week, the word fools is somebody who despises wisdom and instructions, and it is contrasted to the one who fear God. And it says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, and this is where we pick up from where we left off. So in verse 8, you begin to see a more what we call a more elderly to a younger person discourse. It is with regards to talking from an elderly to a younger person. And the word son is very much to the younger boy, right? A boy. I think we could use that word. And it is Solomon in a discourse because it is a very patriarchal society, and the advice is really focused on the boy because the boy is out there and he will grow up to represent the father and also to represent the nation, and hence much of the initial phases is actually focused on the son. We will also look at the woman when we get to chapter 31. But as we begin in verse 8, I just want us to be very mindful that these are instructions that an elderly man is giving to a younger man. Hear, and you know what hear means, to listen to the instruction of your father, and do not forsake the law of your mother. Now understand this, the word instruction here is discipline. This is not the instruction like the Hebrew word Torah, the instruction and the directions of God. This has nothing to do with that. So when it says instruction here, it is very much the discipline, the chastening of your father, and do not forsake. And the word forsake here, well, I guess we could say that do not abandon. I think the word is good. Do not abandon. Now this particular word law is actually Torah, which is also instructions. And so you can see there is an A and a B here, because both is with regards to the disciplining, the instruction of life. Now, we have a challenge because the father and mother may be an idiom, right? May be an idiom because the mother doesn't teach the law. And one of the things that the Jewish commentators would refer to the father as God and the mother as nation. All right. Now, we may have problems with that, but that's okay. One of the things that we need to understand is the word nation in the Hebrew is a feminine word, and the word God or Elohim is a masculine word. And so this is a masculine and this is a feminine. And hence, the word father and mother is actually used as a poetic style. And nevertheless, the focus is about hearing. And hearing means not forsaking. Do not despise correction. Do not despise the laws, the instructions that the nation is moving forward under God. And that would be one of the aspects the Jews would actually look at. For they will be graceful ornament on your head and chains about your neck. Now, these are very visual. These will be necklace. And these will be wreath. And so one is on the head, one is on your neck. And these are body parts where this is also an A and a B. And this would be with regards to something, how should we say, something that is beautiful. Right? Something beautiful, something that is adorning. And that you can show. Now, notice we're talking about the sun and we're talking about these things here, is to show that the boy who walks around needs to appreciate disciplines and instruction. And if he does that, he is said to be adorning himself with beautiful things. Now, going to verse 10. 10 onwards are literally advice to the boy, right? You can't run away from it because it is about an advice to a young man who goes out into society, into the community, and he can be misled. He can be enticed. He can be tempted to do things which is against God. And so again, it says, my son, if sinners entice you, do not consent. Now, if you break this down, the first thing that you want to know is the word sinners. And this comes from the word khatat. All right? And we'll break this down. The word entice here literally means, how should we say, it's to deceive. To deceive, to seduce. And so the final reaction here is do not consent. The word consent here literally means do not be willing. See, this is about choice, right? This is about choices. Do not yield, right? Do not accept. And so we need now to actually understand the Hebrew context. First of all, sinners. Now, the word sin by itself, khatat, means to miss. You know, you shoot an arrow and you miss the bull's eye. That's about missing. So in the Hebrew, it's very much giving you instructions, right? 1 to 10. And then you happen to miss number 9 and number 8. And that's what we call missing. And so it's like an exam. You have 10 questions and you only manage to answer 8. But in our modern society, we say that, well, 8 over 10 is 80%. And that's, well, I guess you can still qualify for an A. But if you look at this as an instruction of life, like you are to make this is a recipe. And the recipe has all these ingredients and you miss putting 2 ingredients in. Then you have completely missed making the thing. And so the word khatat is more of a recipe than an exam. And so these are people who would constantly don't bake the right cake, right, so to speak. And they are considered sinners in the English language. And they are missing what God tells them to do. and they have left it out of their way of life, and they come to seduce you. And this is what we call temptation, right? Temptation or testing. Now, understand this, in the Hebrew context, temptation is not a sin. Temptation is a test. And so when they talk about entice you, coming to trick you, like the serpent trying to trick the woman, well, the enticement is not the wrong thing here. What is the wrong thing here is this second part of this equation. If you become a willing party, then this becomes sin. And so the enticement is really not a sin. The test itself is not a sin, but the yielding to doing wrong is the problem. So in verse 11, if they say, "Come with us, let us lie in wait to shed blood." The idea here, well, the word shed, by the way, is supplied by the translator, but it is an okay translation. To shed blood means to kill someone. That is what it means. To lie in wait is to ambush. And so what do? You may think that these are what? Young men, they are trying to be playing a prank, but this is not a prank, because if you're taking somebody's life, it is no longer a prank. And let us lurk secretly for the innocent without cause. And this, I guess you would say that these are the innocent, without cause, not guilty. And so you find that lurking secretly is about hiding. And obviously, you would have an A and a B as well. Now, when we talk about shedding blood, this particular verse talks about shedding innocent blood. And hence, this is the thing that is wrong here. So do not consent to this. If they want to do this, you must not participate, because the law of God is very clear. Thou shalt not murder. Now, they would say, "Let us swallow them alive like Sheol." Now, Sheol is the place where one goes where they die. All right, so we are saying that this is actually a place of the dead. Now, you can also look at this particular word here and those who, and as a whole, like those who go down into the pit. Now, this word pit is a cistern, a hole that is inside the ground. Now, if you recall in Genesis chapter 37, maybe in verse 20, we have that verse. It's about the brothers of Joseph tries to throw him into the hole and wait for him to die there. So the hole, down the hole, is also an expression like swallow them alive into Sheol, is another A and a B. It is to kill them, put them into a hole, bury them, right? We shall find all kinds of precious possessions. We shall fill our house with spoil. Same thing. This is an A and a B. When you rob somebody, you take, these are the spoils. This is what you rob and steal, right? Now in verse 14, it says, "Cast your lots among us. Let us have one purse." Basically, it's also an A and a B, that here they will share a common bag of spoils. And so they are trying to lure the son to join them in the gang, to hurt other people who are innocent, and this is against God's Torah. Thou shalt not kill, and they would rob and kill at the same time to take advantage of people who can't defend themselves. Verse 15. Again here, my son. This is another segment, right? Do not walk in the way with them. Keep your foot from their path. Now look at the text itself. Again, right? This is an advice to the son. It says, do not walk. This is literally walking in the way, the journey, right? The road. Don't go on this journey with them. And so this one, keep your foot. This is to withhold. Withhold your feet. Well, I guess here, it's singular. Your foot is really don't walk with them, right? Don't walk with them from their path. Now, this word path is actually a trodden pathway. You know, when you walk on a road and there's probably grass on the sides, but when you walk enough of it, then you find that this path here is well trodden. That is what it means. Well trodden, that there is a trail. And so again, you'd find right here an A and a B. Don't follow them. So remember, the Proverbs is a more poetic way of teaching something very simple. Don't follow them. Don't walk with them. Don't join them. For their feet run to evil. They make haste to shed blood. So look at this. In verse 16, they are running to evil and they make haste. Right? They are quick to shed blood. So evil and shed blood is about killing. Their feet run talks about making haste. Very quickly they go and do that thing. Surely in vain the net is spread in the sight of any blood. Now this is a bit tricky in their translation. So let's look at this a little bit more. This word is very much, I think we could use without cause, in vain. In vain here would be, how should you say, no purpose. I think you're beginning to see how these young men are trying to tease and rob and kill other people for the fun of it. The net is spread. This is the catching net, to scatter. In the eyes of all the Lord of wings. Right? This is the word, the Lord of the wing, right? And the idea here is, yes, these are the flying animals, right? The flying animals, you spread a net, and so they will try to catch another A and B. They will do this for no particular reason. And here you would think that it's like, no, they're doing it for the fun of it. And then they lie in wait for their blood. And they lurk secretly for their lives. And so take away the own because the words are not there. So they lie in wait, ambush. They lurk secretly, they hide. For lives and blood is the same, right? The life is in the blood. These are similar words to talk about they are trying to ambush, to kill. Verse 19, so are the ways of everyone who is greedy for gain. It takes away the life of its owners. Now in verse 19, you find that the word owners is Baal. Same here, the Lord here is Baal. And Baal is a common Hebrew word that refers to owner, Lord, husband, master. And so what this passage is trying to say is, these are the ways of all these people. The ways means the path, the journey, the path of all these people who, well, it says greedy for gain. The word greedy here is covetous. Covetous, really dying to get more, right? The word gain here is profit. And usually unjust profit. And so they're trying to take what doesn't belong to them. That's basically what it says. They just want to do that. And it takes away the life of their owners. And by them doing it, they are actually willing to kill the nefesh of the owners, right? The word take is to seize, takes away, right? Seize. But it really talks about snatching away. And so what do you do when you snatch away the life of someone? You kill them. And all for what? Unjust gain. And so this passage from verse 15 to 19 is a warning so that the young man will not follow these people to go and do all these unnecessary, unprofitable things. Now, in verse 20, it says, wisdom calls from aloud from outside. She raises her voice in the open squares. Now, we need to break this down a bit. The first thing you need to understand in Hebrew is that this word wisdom is chokmah. And this is noun in the plural. And it is feminine. It's a feminine word. And so now you're beginning to see the play of words, that it is a she, right? A feminine, her voice. And so now wisdom is what we call personified. In Hebrew, there quite often when you get into some poetic expressions, you would find that wisdom is normally portrayed as a person, and in this case, a woman, right? The reason is also because the word itself is feminine. Now, in Genesis chapter 4, when God tells Cain that sin is at the door, is waiting for you, that's a personification of sin, of khatat. And here, hokmah, but in the plural, all kinds of wisdom is calling aloud on the outside. On the outside means in the streets. And then she raises her voice, right? Calls aloud is like raising her voice in the open squares. These are the open places, the plazas, right? Right, the plaza. So what do you have? You have an A and a B. wisdom is calling out loud. That's basically what it means. She cries out in the chief concourses at the openings of the gates in the cities. Now understand this. Again, we don't misunderstand. Wisdom is now portrayed in a poetic form as a woman because the word hokmah is in the plural, also in the feminine. So she's crying out in the chief concourses. Well, understand this. The word chief concourses is quite interesting. This is actually the choicest part. The choicest part of town in this case. At the openings of the gates in the city. And hence this is also an A and a B. The best part of the city is at the gates. That is the chief part of the town where the judges will sit, where they will deal with cases, where you bring your cases there and you buy and trade all at the gates. And so that's where everybody congregates, at the gates of the city. And she speaks her words. Now in verse 21, the word here is actually not davar, is actually things that is said, utterance. It comes from the word speech, to say something. And so she has lots to say. That's what we're trying to say here. That she's got lots to say. In verse 22 comes what she has to say. Until when? The word how long here is until when. You simple ones, naive men, right? The word young man here is very much naive, simple-minded, right? I think this is we've met this before. Simple-minded. Now we may think that in our generation, simple-minded is nice, but that's not how the Hebrew looks at this. The idea of simple-mindedness are naive people who just think that everything is all good. And so when the temptation comes, when the boys come to tempt you, then you will fall. And so you are not supposed to be simple-minded. Until when do you love simplicity? And the word simplicity is another play of this word, naivety, right? Naivety. And this is also another word that the English would translate as foolish, because being naive is foolishness in Hebrew. For scorners are people who well, what do you say? To make mouths, right? Scorners is make mouths. Mock. They will delight in their scorning. The word scorning here, in their, well, I guess in their boasting. And now you have another word, fools hate knowledge. Now this word fool is actually an insolent. It's not the one who hates, well, he still hates knowledge, but this is no longer the previous word. This is kasil. Kasil. Kasil means he is a silly fool. One who is fat, and fat in the head, I would say. Now, as an expression, fat in the head means you can't take in anything anymore. And these are the people when they see knowledge, and knowledge in this sense, knowledge in verse 22 are the experiences that people talk about, and these are experiences. And so he will hate. And the word hate is sane. He turns away, right? He turns away from good experiences, good advice. And so Solomon says, turn at my rebuke. Surely I will pour out my spirit on you. I will make my words known to you. The word turn, in this case, in verse 23, is to shuv. Shuv means to turn back. When I rebuke you, when I correct you. So when I discipline you, you should listen to me and turn back and do the right thing. Now, the second word here is to pour out. The word pour out here literally means to belch, right? To belch, to vomit. And I will vomit my wind on you, and I will make my words known to you. And this word here is and this word is basically to cause you to know my words, my davar. So basically you would find this. One, turn at my rebuke, that I will vomit on you and I will make you know my words, is what wisdom is all about. That Solomon is trying to teach the young man wisdom. Because I have called you and you refused. And the word refused here is really, how should we say? Well, I guess the word refuse is choose not to come, right? I've called and you have refused. And I have stretched out my hand and no one regarded. So the idea here is, regarded is to give attention, to pay attention. So basically, this is another A and a B. This is getting attention. I'm trying to get your attention, but nobody seems to care, right? Verse 25, because you disdain all my counsel and will have none of my rebuke. The idea of disdain, I guess the idea of disdain here is to neglect. You neglect all my counsel. The word counsel here literally means advice, and would have none of my rebuke. This word here, have none of my rebuke. The word rebuke is very much correction. And so have none in this case means not willing. Right? Not willing to yield. And so you find that this is another A and a B. That all of these are what Solomon is trying to teach them. Right? I am trying to correct you. but you ignore me. I'm trying to give you advice, but you refuse to have it. So verse 26 is a consequence. I will also laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your terror comes. What does this mean? This is an A and B, by the way. First of all, laugh and mock comes in the same form. Mock means make mouths, right? Mock means ridicule. Laugh means to laugh, to mock. At your calamity. The word calamity means when it comes at a time of a disaster. When you don't listen to me, when you are faced with disaster or misfortune, then I will laugh. And when your terror, whatever caused you to tremble, and when it comes, I will mock you. And so this is a consequence of not listening. So you notice Solomon is telling, I'm going to give you advice, but if you don't listen to me and the time comes and you fall into trouble, well, I am just going to laugh at you. So now let's look at verse 27. It says, when your terror comes like a storm and your destruction comes like a whirlwind, when distress and anguish come upon you. That's a continuation of verse 26. And so this word, when your terror comes like a storm. And so this really means that when it is ravaging, it's not really a storm, but it's ravaging. When you're trembling, the things that cause you to tremble. Things that cause trembling. Comes ravaging, like a storm ravaging, right? And your destruction. The word destruction here means disaster. And it comes like a whirlwind. And this word whirlwind is a storm wind. And I guess you can call it a hurricane. And that's why the translator uses whirlwind. And notice, this is also an A and a B. So when all these bad things come, like you can't stop them, when you're distressed, the first word distress literally means anguish or trouble. And these two are the similar sounding words, similar meaning words, things which constrains you. And this is an A and a B. Both of them are talking about the same thing. Verse 28. Then they will call on me, but I will not answer. They will seek me diligently, but they will not find me. Because they hated knowledge, they did not choose the fear of the Lord. They would have none of my counsel. They despise my every rebuke. Therefore, well, let's deal with 3 verses first. This is when wisdom comes and speaks to them, right? They will call on me, give me advice, tell me what to do. Wisdom will not answer. They will come and search for me, but they will not find me. They hated knowledge. They hated experience. When things are good, they really don't care. They did not choose the fear of the Lord. Remember, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And so Solomon is now warning them. You call for wisdom, start by fear of the Lord. The fear that belongs to God. When you fear God, not fear other people, but fear God, then you will know what is knowledge and you know who God is. They would have none of my advice. They despise and neglect my every correction. And so wisdom is like a guardian that will guard, correct, guide, teach the young man how to live life. Now, in our last few verses, verse 31, he says, they shall eat the fruit of their own way and be filled to the full of their own fancies. Let's break them down. Literally, eat the fruit filled to the full. So all these are playing with the idea of taking your own consequences, right? There's an A and a B, bearing own consequences. Their own way and own fancies. Now, the own way here would be their own path, right? Whatever gives them, whatever they move, the end of that path is their fruit. To be filled to the full of their own fancies. The word fancies here, I guess you could saw their plans. And so that is what they are seeing. The consequences of what they have chosen, because they did not choose the fear of the Lord. Now, this is important. Choose. So what did they choose? They did not choose to fear God. If they choose to fear God, that would be wisdom. But they went on their own merry way, and then they have their own consequences. Verse 32. For the turning away of the simple will slay them, the complacency of fools will destroy them. The word turning away, this word really means backsliding. The word backsliding, I guess, how should we say? The word backsliding means to literally walk away from where they used to be doing right. The word simple here means the naive man. When the naive man walks away from the path of God, then this will really kill. Now, the word kill is to ruin, to put to ruin. The complacency of fools, let's break this down as well. In verse 32, complacency means the prosperity. And this is the negative form of complacency, that the false security, maybe you can use that. You think everything is fine, but it is not. And this belongs to the fools. The word fools here is the same as in verse 22. These are the ones who are the arrogant ones, fat in the head, right? Fat in the head. And then it will destroy them. Now, this word destroy, this word destroy means to go away and then they perish. And so again, an A and a B, that the consequence, right? The consequence is destruction. And then it says here, the final verse, whoever listens to me will dwell safely, will be secure without fear of evil. Me, wisdom. So it's wisdom talking here. And Solomon uses these kinds of phrases. So whoever hears, right? Hear means you listen, you understand, and you follow. Anyone who listens to wisdom, they will actually dwell. They will make their home. Make their home. And the word safety is a different word. The word safety here means secure, security, with confidence, right? And then again it says, and will be secure. The word will be secure means to rest securely, right? Be at ease. Now, I guess you should be able to tell that this word complacency and this word will be secure is the opposite of each other. So the fools has false security. But if you listen to wisdom, you will have real security. You will have, it says, without fear of evil. And the word without fear of evil means this: you will not be terrified of evil, right? Of evil. And evil means what is disagreeable. And so God is trying to tell them, if you fear the Lord, if your fear is on Jehovah God, it is the beginning of wisdom. And if you listen to wisdom, you will have true security. You will not be terrified of all the unpleasantness and all the destruction, all the things that you just don't like. It won't come your way because your fear is in the Lord, and He will be the one to protect you because you are choosing to obey Him. And so this chapter 1 is really to instruct the young man. Don't be naive. The world is full with temptations. They will tell you things to join them, do all these fun things, but it is against God. God says, do not murder. Do not harm the poor, the needy, those who can't protect themselves, the widow, the innocents. And here you find that the contrast is, do not be naive. Do not be simpleton. Do not be fat in your head. Do not be that kind of a fool. Have real security in God, because you must choose. And this is a very conscious decision. So it is a conscious decision to join the evil. It is a conscious decision to fear God. And so the decision to walk, remember, this whole thing is about walking the path. So you have to choose the path to walk. And if you chose the wrong path, repent, come back, turn back, listen to correction, and come back, right? Turn. This is correction. And so nothing is permanent until the permanence come into play. And so in chapter 1 really is encouraging us to pay attention to wisdom. Solomon uses wisdom as the first person to instruct the young man. And wisdom is what he has. Wisdom is how he speaks. And wisdom means to fear the Lord. If you want wisdom, first choose to fear the Lord. Then you would choose to walk God's path. And then you will be genuinely secure. You will not be afraid of anything bad that's going to happen. Because our life's journey has no guarantee. The only guarantee or the only security or confidence really is God. And so if you hang on to the Lord, Jehovah, and you truly fear him, that all your choices made are for him, then you're not afraid of how you will walk, where you would go, because you are not in the counsel of the ungodly. You're not in the counsel of the sinners. You are in the counsel of wisdom, the experience of how to walk with God. And so you're walking in the right path. And hence, chapter 1 really embodies an ultimate advice of life, right? Ultimate advice of life. And with this, we come to the close of chapter 1.